Mirrorless camera systems have come of age. Pros and non-pros alike are recognizing that these small, lightweight, relatively low-cost camera systems have a lot of technology inside that yields wonderful still photos and HD video quality. They're easy to learn, they're easy to travel around with you, and I gotta tell you, they really are fun to use.
I'm Will Crockett. I'm a pro photographer, owner and chief tech advisor of a few large photo websites. I've worked as a consultant to some huge companies in the photo industry, and I even get to report my latest photo fun facts to the great men and women who work in the Pentagon. And now I'm learning the next generation of cameras in my migration to mirrorless.
Today, we're going to do a real-life review on the Panasonic Lumix GX1, and you'll discover if it's the camera system for you, or if it's maybe not the right mirrorless system that you want to get started with. Either way, we're going to start off with this camera's vital signs. The GX1 is a 16 megapixel camera with roughly a 17 by 13 sensor. It shoots still photos in JPEG, in RAW, and in MPO, which is the 3D still photo format. As for video, it shoots the wonderful AVC HD, which we adore, and it also shoots the Apple QuickTime compatible MP4 format. As for cards, it writes onto pretty much all of the standard SD cards that fits into one slot on the bottom of the camera inside the battery cover. And speaking of batteries, this battery is good, not great. We tend to judge battery coverage by how long it will actually shoot video. So this battery does a very good job for still photography, and you shouldn't have any issues there. But when you're shooting video, particularly the big AVC HD in full 1080p, and using autofocus, you can expect only 26 minutes on a battery. That means you will run out of battery on this camera before you fill up a card when you shoot video. Lenses for the GX1 are the micro 4/3 mount, and that's not the 4/3 mount, it's micro 4/3, which is better. There are more micro 4/3 lenses than there are any other style of mirrorless camera lenses. There's over 25 at the time we're recording this video. That means you can use any of the Lumix lenses for compact system cameras, as well as Olympus, and there's even a really cool one from Voigtlander you should check out. It's really fun. But you can get adapters that allow you to take a 4/3 lens and mount it on your micro 4/3 camera, and you can get adapters for Leica R, I believe, and M lenses. Now, if you're one of those Leica guys and you want to buy this camera because you're so excited to use your old Leica lenses on this new camera, you're going to be disappointed. Those adapters don't work all that well, and those Leica lenses are spectacular. Don't get me wrong, they're just kind of overkill maybe for these type of cameras. But if you already have the lenses and you're looking for a digital camera, this is a good option. Don't rush out and buy this camera because you can also buy those old school Leica lenses and adapt it. Pretty much little guideline, anytime you have to use an adapter on a lens, you're going to expect to have a problem. Now this camera does have a built-in flash. However, you're probably never going to use it. It will not auto pop up. You have to push the button in order to get it to activate, and then the electronics in the camera will incorporate it into your shot. That's the good news. The bad news is the pop-up flash that's in this camera is really not so good. And the worst news is that you can get slide-in external Lumix flashes that hop into the hot shoe, but they don't really work all that good either. This camera is not designed to be a flash camera. It's designed to be flashless, and if you use it for flashless photography, you'll be extremely happy with it. Now the hot shoe on top of the camera will accept a pocket wizard, so you can use this to trigger any sort of strobe system you like, as long as it's not wireless TTL. This camera will not do wireless TTL unless there's some crazy adapter that I don't know about. The hot shoe on top also has another function. Of course, it will take a slide-in flash of many different brands, but it will also take the beautiful electronic viewfinder that slides in. It's a pricey see? Small, extremely well-made little accessory that hogs that hot shoe and allows you to have that viewfinder experience when using this camera. The built-in screen is really good. In fact, you may use it for most even outdoor shoots without any sort of issue. It does have some nice touchscreen commands and allows you to have that nice blend between seeing images before you shoot them, seeing images after you shoot them, and selecting how you're going to shoot those images. It really works well once you get the hang of it. As for outputs, there's a proprietary mini USB. Not quite sure why it's not the standard mini USB, but that does mean you'll have to use the cord that comes with your Lumix camera in order to connect it to your USB compatible device. Now, if you end up buying other Lumix cameras, you'll find out that different Lumix cameras use that same mini USB, so good and bad. The mini HDMI video port on the side of the camera is terrific. It will allow you to play video. It will not allow you to see the video when you're shooting live. So when you're trying to record an image and you're connected up through the HDMI port to a television set, you won't see the picture. But when you play back the video that you recorded, you'll see it on the television. It works very well. The software that comes with the camera is horrible and should be avoided at all costs. It is a very well-made camera and it's solid feeling. It's got a lot of durable qualities and sounds to it. So build quality, very good. Now let's take a look at picture quality. Judging picture quality is subjective, of course, but we judge still picture quality in these type of cameras differently than we do video. Let's start with still. We use the largest, finest quality compression JPEG in order to judge picture quality. It's really not fair to judge it on RAW. Sure, you can get a better image out of these cameras if you shoot in RAW, but remember, most people who shoot a mirrorless camera are not going to be using RAW. They're going to be using JPEG. So let's shoot a great big JPEG, and in fact, if you look back behind me, there you go, you'll see one of my favorite pictures from a recent trip taken with the GX1 in JPEG mode. Now this was created with the 7 to 14 millimeter lens, which is a premium lens inside the Lumix line, and you'll see that the highlight, the midtone, and the shadow detail is terrific. The color rendition on this, spectacular. There has been no retouching to this, and in fact that print that's behind me is a 20 by 26 inch print. Pretty nice, right? And the closer you look into this print, you'll see it's very, very sharp. But when it comes to video, this camera is just as good. When we measure its 1080p, which is 60 frames per second, by the way, the video quality is also terrific. Now, we leave the processing settings at the default when we test these type of cameras. There are ways to use the intelligent contrast and intelligent resolution and even other intelligent functions on this camera, but we leave them all at the standard settings in order to see what this thing's got right out of the box. The low light capabilities in both photo and video on the GX1 are superb, top of the class with mirrorless cameras, and right up there with the pro-end HD DSLR cameras. I shot these between midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning downtown Chicago on a beautiful clear December night, all handheld at ISOs ranging from 1600 to 6400, and these images, wow, these really work for me. All JPEGs, no post-processing other than some vignette that I added. So those dark corners there are really not on the original files, they're just part of my style. But no noise reduction or sharpening. Ease of use of this camera has two meanings for me. One is this camera is really easy for me personally to use. One of the reasons is I like the fact that the viewfinder comes on and off. With the viewfinder off, this camera easily slips into my jacket pocket or a motorcycle fairing pocket or even my pants pocket. When I put the finder on, of course, it doesn't slip in and out of a pocket as much, but it does give me that option. It's also easy to use because of those 3 button positions on the top of the camera. The front one is how I'm going to shoot still pictures. This back button is how I'm going to shoot video clips. And then there's the important intelligent auto button. I call this my get out of trouble button. If I start goofing around with menu settings, which I always do, and I've got an important shot or an event or an image that I've got to create, I'm gonna just tap that IA button and it's gonna do all the auto thinking for me. And you know what? It does a great idea. And that's the other part about ease of use on this camera. My wife is a first grade school teacher and she loves to take pictures, but she's horrible at cameras. So what I do is I turn that on, I press that little IA button, I hand it to her, and you know what? She makes wonderful pictures. So does my 7-year-old niece. She loves this camera. We love it a lot too. If you're looking for a compact system camera that you can shoot professional images with, and you can also give it to your spouse to take snapshots at a family reunion, this is an easy camera to learn. Overall, this is professional quality imaging here. On my scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the perfect camera that doesn't exist, 0 being something that a person would never want to use, I give this an 8.2 on the Willow meter. So what kind of photographer will be happy with the GX1? Well, the photographer that wants to travel. Because this is small and very durable and got a high construction build quality, you can throw this in a suitcase or in your backpack and it'll go with you wherever you want to go. And of course, the wide variety of lenses that you can get for the Micro Four Thirds mount mean you can get small lenses to big lenses and everything in between. Also, the pro photographer that wants to add their first mirrorless camera into their kit, but they want a small camera with lots of power that they can put into their professional case, because we're all going to have to move on to mirrorless cameras here sooner or later, so we might as well get used to it, right? The other people who will like this are actually families. This is a good camera because of the intelligent auto button that kids can use and family members can use that aren't interested in photography, yet dad can fire it up or mom can fire it up or anybody can put it into manual modes and experiment with some of the really cool creative color functions that are in this camera. Who will not be too excited about this camera? Well, if you're a photo geeky kind of person and you're really into technology, there is a lot of technology in here. However, it's designed with the touchscreen stuff and the intelligent functions, so it's trying to be automated with its technology. So that means the geeky folks won't have as many cool things to play with, and they may find a different mirrorless camera that's a better choice. Who else is not going to be too excited about this? Well, if you're a photographer that's style conscious and you really like cool looking cameras, and if you really appreciate when you pick up a beautiful old Nikon or a beautiful old Leica camera and you just like the tactile feel of it, you're probably not going to like this camera. But keep in mind, it does have the viewfinder that slides in and out, and if that's something that you're going to do, you're going to shoot outside or you're going to shoot indoors with very low light, you may want that viewfinder. Make sure you add that into the cost of the body when you're price shopping. This is just one of the mirrorless camera systems that we're reviewing here at Picturing HD and ShootSmarter.com. Lots of info on those two websites for you to make better images with your compact system mirrorless camera.